On a planet far away, Gorr and his daughter Love are wandering through a barren desert. They are the last of their people and have nowhere else to go. Starvation is pushing them to the edge of death, and Gorr prays to his god Rapu for help, but nothing responds. Love eventually dies in her father's arms, and after Gorr buries her, he begins hearing a whispering voice calling out to him. Gorr follows the voice until he discovers an oasis filled with fresh water, but he also slips and cuts his hand on a sword. Then he sees a pile of fruit and devours it frantically until he's berated by his god Rapu, who is casually lounging around. Gorr explains that the land has been destroyed, but his faith never broke, so he expects the eternal reward he was promised. However, Rapu mocks him, revealing there was never any reward for the weak. He's busy celebrating killing the latest wielder of the Necrosword, a cursed blade capable of killing gods. Rapu doesn't care about the followers who died for him, saying suffering for him is their duty and that he can replace them anytime. Enraged, Gorr denounces his god, prompting Rapu to start choking him. Suddenly, the Necrosword rises into Gorr's hand and shows him the path to immense power, demanding he wipe out all the gods. Gorr lets the curse consume him and kills Rapu, vowing he'll slaughter the rest of the gods too. On planet Indigar, Korg tells a group of aliens the story of Thor, the god of thunder. He was raised as a warrior from infancy and grew into a legendary hero, saving worlds countless times and having many lovers over the years. His true love was a woman from Earth called Jane, who left him years ago. After that, Thor lost his entire family, his mighty hammer Mjolnir, and even his homeland Asgard. Depression crushed him hard and he lost his godly physique. But after gaining a new weapon called Stormbreaker, he joined a group of heroes known as the Guardians of the Galaxy and began traveling with them across the universe on chaotic adventures. He also rebuilt his body with relentless training, but continued hiding a lot of pain behind his perfect exterior. Now he's done with seeking love and only shows up when battle demands him. Nearby, the Guardians are locked in a brutal fight against bird-like invaders and struggling. Soon, Thor finally arrives, and the local king explains things were peaceful here until their gods were murdered. With Stormbreaker in hand, Thor launches into the battle, effortlessly crushing enemies across the field by smashing them or blasting lightning. When two attackers rush him at once, Thor simply blocks them with his legs before jumping to send them crashing. After kicking away a massive vehicle, Thor storms into the temple and climbs the tower to strike the enemy leader, ending the invasion but also destroying the temple in the process. On Earth, Jane is at the hospital for treatment because she's been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, something she's only told 2 close friends. Since she's a scientist, she's been running her own research, and so has her professor friend. But nothing looks promising and her odds are grim. Desperate for hope, Jane decides to explore Asgardian magic and discovers that Mjolnir might help. Meanwhile, the people of Asgard have built their new home on Earth with Valkyrie as their queen. She took over after Thor left, but she hates the role because it's loaded with politics and dull meetings when she's meant to be a warrior. There are tours where visitors can explore New Asgard, including the display holding the remaining pieces of Mjolnir inside a protected case. When Jane arrives to see it, the sky abruptly darkens and the fragments begin to glow. Back to Thor, the king rewards him with 2 enormous screaming goats for his help. And when the group departs, the goats wreak chaos inside their spaceship. Then the team checks the system for distress signals and is shocked to find countless messages begging for help. It turns out Gorr has been slaughtering gods on thousands of planets and has earned the name God Butcher. One of these distress calls comes from Lady Sif, an Asgardian warrior who once fought beside Thor. Determined to help her, Thor chooses to leave the Guardians behind so he can return to his people. After the Guardians leave with the ship, Thor uses Stormbreaker to teleport with Korg and the goats to Sif's location. They arrive in a frozen land where they find the skeleton of a massive creature whom Thor calls the kindest god he ever knew. Nearby, Sif is injured and missing an arm, but she's stable enough to explain she tracked Gorr here only to fall into his trap and barely escaped. Gorr's mission is to eliminate every god in existence, and his next target is New Asgard. On Earth, Gorr reaches New Asgard and uses the Necrosword to command the shadows and summon an army of monsters. In moments, chaos consumes the city and flames spread, so Valkyrie appears on her Pegasus to fight the monsters with her sword. Soon, Thor arrives as well, and while Korg carries Sif to safety, Thor enters the battle. He and Valkyrie are cutting down monsters when a burst of lightning crashes onto the battlefield, moving fast as it destroys enemies too. Thor realizes it's Mjolnir and calls for it, but after slicing through another creature, the hammer ignores Thor and flies to its new owner. This woman is wearing Thor's clothes and handling Mjolnir like she's mastered it, making it split into pieces to attack multiple monsters at once before it pulls itself back together. When the woman removes her helmet, Thor freezes in shock when he realizes it's Jane. A flashback shows how their relationship once looked. At first, they connected effortlessly and lived through countless joyful moments together, forming what seemed like a flawless relationship. One drunken night, Thor even asked Mjolnir to swear it would always protect Jane, and the hammer glowed in response. But as time passed, distance grew between them because Thor was constantly away on missions and Jane was overloaded with her work as a respected scientist. Eventually, Jane got worn out from the emotional gap between them and ended things by leaving Thor a note. Back in the present, Thor tries to talk, but Jane wants to stay focused on the battle. At that moment, Thor spots Gorr, who moves in to fight Thor with the Necrosword. After trading several blows, Gorr slams Thor against a car, and when Thor tries to counter, Gorr smashes him again against the car and has a monster pin him down. Then Gorr attempts to seize Stormbreaker, but Thor unleashes his lightning in anger, breaking free from the monster before forcing Gorr back. Thor fires lightning at him as Jane and Valkyrie arrive to back him up, so Gorr chooses to retreat. However, the shadows remain, and they send out more creatures into children's rooms to capture them. Soon, every Asgardian child is trapped inside a cage-like monster, and when Thor and Jane try to pursue it, Gorr teleports the entire cage away. Afterward, Valkyrie gathers every Asgardian to decide their next move. Thor can't stop staring at Mjolnir and tries calling it again, but Stormbreaker flies to him instead. A heated argument breaks out among the citizens, so Thor steps forward and tells them to calm down while he attempts something. When he lifts Stormbreaker, his powers misfire and he blasts a hole in the ceiling before accidentally destroying a monument outside. He returns to the meeting room and the argument restarts, only to be abruptly cut off by a floating head. This is Axel, one of the kidnapped children who has magical eyes. This ability allows him to project an illusion of Thor into the cage so Thor can look around and identify their location. When the illusion ends, Thor returns and tells the others that the kids are in the Shadow Realm, where Gorr is at his strongest. Before they head there, they need backup. The group decides they must travel to Omnipotent City, where all of Earth's gods assemble. Since Stormbreaker is acting unstable, they'll use a ship pulled by the goats to navigate through the Axe's power. While Valkyrie retrieves a ship from an exhibit, Jane steps into the bathroom and reveals that when she drops her transformation, her true condition shows. Her reflection reminds her of her mother dying in the hospital, and rage overtakes her as she uses Mjolnir to smash the sink. Meanwhile, Axel tries telling the other kids stories of Thor to calm their fear. Gorr interrupts to terrify them by killing a small creature, and when Axel insists Thor will save them, Gorr explains that's exactly what he's counting on. Sometime later, the team reaches Omnipotent City and puts on disguises to blend into the crowd. There are countless incredible gods everywhere, but the one who makes a grand entrance is Zeus, whom Thor considers his idol. After performing a series of flashy tricks with his thunderbolt, Zeus reveals he's a complete disappointment because instead of addressing serious threats, he focuses on planning indulgent parties and comparing which god received the most sacrifices. It's clear he can't be trusted, so the team begins arguing about what to do next. But Zeus hears them and summons Thor to the main stage. Thor tells everyone about Gorr and requests assistance, but Zeus doesn't care about a few minor gods dying and chains Thor up before stripping him. After finally noticing who Thor is, Zeus reminds him that each god must look after their own people, so he refuses to help rescue any Asgardians or lend Thor his thunderbolt, which he once again uses to perform more show-off tricks. Then Zeus tells the crowd not to panic because Gorr will never reach eternity, an ancient being at the center of the universe who grants a single wish to whoever summons it. This suggests Gorr may use his wish to wipe out every god in one strike. Omnipotent City is supposed to be a hidden sanctuary, but now that Thor showed up, Gorr may use him as a path to reach it, so Zeus orders his soldiers to imprison Thor here. The rest of the group jumps in to battle the guards, and Thor breaks his chains to use them as weapons. They fight brilliantly as a team, blending their fighting styles, and soon the guards are down. Furious, Zeus fires his thunderbolt at Korg, turning him into a pile of rubble. Next, Zeus tries to hit Thor, but Thor catches the thunderbolt and hurls it back, impaling Zeus through the chest. Afterward, Thor checks Korg and finds he's still alive as just a face. More guards rush in, so Valkyrie ties Korg's face to her hair to keep him safe while he whistles for the goats, who smash through the window with the ship. Valkyrie grabs Zeus's thunderbolt and then the team finally escapes. On their way to the Shadow Realm, Thor shows Jane the space dolphins gliding beside the ship. Using the quiet moment, Thor confesses he still loves her and wants another chance. Jane is forced to tell him about her cancer, but Thor stands by her and promises they'll face everything together, and they share a kiss. When they reach the Shadow Realm at last, everything turns black and white, including them. Stormbreaker's rainbow bridge disappears, so the ship crashes onto the desolated planet with a thump. The cage is nearby but empty, so they enter a building, and Jane discovers papers outlining Gorr's plans. It turns out he brought Thor here to steal Stormbreaker and use its power to open a path into eternity. Jane rushes to warn the others that it's a trap and hurls Stormbreaker into space to keep it out of reach. At that moment, Gorr appears, and Jane sends Mjolnir at him, but Gorr dodges and commands the shadows to capture the heroes. He demands Thor call Stormbreaker, and when Thor refuses, he makes the shadows torture Jane and Valkyrie. Desperate, Thor summons Stormbreaker, and the eruption of power shakes the planet and tears them free from the shadows. Then Gorr uses the Necrosword to unleash a swarm of shadow monsters, and another battle erupts. While Jane and Valkyrie take on the beasts, Thor's Stormbreaker clashes with Gorr's Necrosword, and the goats rush Korg's face away from the fight. After trading blows with Gorr, Thor gets distracted by a creature, letting Valkyrie charge in with the Thunderbolt. She lands several hits, but it isn't enough, and Gorr stabs her with her own weapon. When Thor tries to reach her, the shadows drag at him, but he breaks free and fires lightning at Gorr, who blocks it with the Necrosword. Jane reaches Valkyrie to save her and brings her to Thor, who uses Stormbreaker to tear open the bridge. But Gorr and his shadows seize the moment to latch onto the axe and rip it from Thor while he and the others are teleported away. The team lands on Earth, and Jane drops Mjolnir, revealing how severely weakened she is. Thor rushes his friends to the hospital, and the doctor delivers grim news. Wielding Mjolnir has been killing Jane faster. She wants to keep fighting, but Thor admits he wants more time with her and convinces her to stay. On his way out, Valkyrie hands him the Thunderbolt, which Thor uses to reach eternity. Meanwhile, Gorr finally arrives at eternity with the children. He sets Stormbreaker down to begin opening the gate, and the entire place trembles, causing a massive statue fragment to fall. It nearly crushes the children, but Thor appears in time to catch it and throw it aside. As soon as Gorr spots him, he summons monsters with the Necrosword, so Thor gathers the children and tells them to grab anything they can use as a weapon. Then, using the Thunderbolt, he channels his power into all the kids so they can join the fight. A fierce battle erupts as the children charge the monsters, fighting with everything they have to prove they are true Asgardians. As creatures fall and the kids hold the line, Thor goes after Gorr, matching him blow for blow until Gorr flings the Thunderbolt away. Thor is forced to continue hand-to-hand, and Mjolnir senses this back on Earth, so it appears before Jane. Soon, Gorr overwhelms Thor and nearly drives the Necrosword into him, forcing Thor to grab the blade with his bare hands. At that moment, Jane arrives on Valkyrie's Pegasus and hurls Mjolnir at Gorr to knock him away from her boyfriend. Thor seizes the opportunity to grab the Thunderbolt, and together he and Jane move in on Gorr. But Jane realizes the gate is about to open, so she sends Thor to recover Stormbreaker while she keeps fighting and the children finish off the monsters. The shadows cling tight to Stormbreaker, so Thor hacks through them with the Thunderbolt. At first, Gorr seems to overpower Jane, but she leaps and smashes Mjolnir against the Necrosword, splitting cracks through it. At that moment, Thor finally frees Stormbreaker and throws it to Axel so all the children can return home. Afterward, Thor uses the Thunderbolt as paired blades, trapping the Necrosword between them so Jane can throw Mjolnir and shatter it. Gorr grabs the hilt and tries to restore it, but Jane catches the remaining pieces with Mjolnir and summons lightning that burns every fragment into ash. As Jane collapses, Gorr sees the gate to eternity fully open and steps inside, taking all three of them with him. Before Gorr can speak his wish, Thor looks at the dying Jane and tells Gorr he isn't seeking revenge or death. He's choosing love. Thor goes to Jane's side to stay with her in her final moments. Seeing them together reminds Gorr of his own daughter, but he hesitates to wish for her because he's dying from the Necrosword's corruption. Thor and Jane promise love won't be alone, so Gorr makes his wish and love return, saying goodbye to her father before he dies. Jane also says goodbye and shares one last kiss with Thor before her body dissolves into glowing dust. Sometime later, Jane becomes a legend in New Asgard, and they honor her with a statue. Valkyrie resumes her role as queen, and Sif trains the children in combat. Korg regrows his body and even finds a mate from his species. Thor raises Gorr's daughter as his own, and they share quiet daily life like breakfast, but he also teaches her how to control her eternity powers. They travel the cosmos, Thor wielding Mjolnir and Love carrying Stormbreaker, fighting side by side to help those in need. As their adventures spread across the universe, they become known as Love and Thunder. Meanwhile, Jane's spirit arrives in Valhalla, the Asgardian afterlife, and she's welcomed into the Hall of the Gods. If this recap pulled you in, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe. More epic breakdowns are on the way.